Okay, hello and welcome everyone. Welcome to JFD Traders Tea Time with me, Darius Anucauskas. Today's the 24th of October 2019, so welcome everyone. Welcome to this Thursday's afternoon session where we're going to have a quick look at the markets, a few of the charts, usual stuff. But before we do that, as always, let's quickly have a read through our risk disclaimer. So, the content we produce does not constitute investment advice or investment recommendation, should not be considered as such, and does not in any way constitute an invitation to acquire any financial instrument or product. As always, a few seconds for you to read the rest, and we can continue. Okay, also just a quick mentioning of our JFD YouTube channel here, to which you can always subscribe to in order not to miss any of our upcoming videos. And of course our JFD Bank website, but specifically our JFD Bank research page, which you can find here under the research tab. And I believe you can find a lot of useful stuff here as well, guys. So feel free to visit us on our jfdbank.com website, and like I said, click on the research tab right here on the top. But for now, guys, let's jump into the charts. Now, the first one I want to touch on, and that's the FTSE100. Now, I talked about the FTSE this morning, so I hope you saw the video this morning. So basically, what I was saying that we may see, if we get a nice push above the 200 EMA here on the 4-hour chart, then we may see some higher levels being met. Initially, we would target this 7,351.50 zone, but if that fails to hold, then yep, further moves higher could be possible. Of course, not everything, not the last one level. I mean, it probably won't be met today, but something to consider in the future, given that the index has managed to break through the upper side of this little range that it was trading in from around the beginning of October, and now it's climbing higher. It's climbing above its 200 EMA here on the 4-hour chart as well. So all is looking quite positive. For now, it's working according to the plan, the morning plan. Now, in a way, what we could also consider here is a possible maybe correction, maybe a little bit moving lower here. And in a way, if it stays above this 200 EMA on the 4-hour chart, the bulls could see this as a good opportunity to step in again and push this one to the upside. Now, this is a scenario if, let's say, in case we see a bit of a correction to the downside. So if we do see something like this first, then keep your eyes on the 200 EMA. If it struggles, if the price struggles to move below it, then this could be a good sign for the buyers. We could see higher levels, and then, like I said, we could then aim for this 7,440 zone. So let's keep an eye on this one. In terms of the downside, well, probably, of course, we would like to take a very conservative approach here now and wait for a drop below the 7,140 zone. So in a way, for those who are on a very, very cautious side, you could in a way wait for a drop below this. But for those who are more a little bit on the riskier side, in a way, you could start considering lower areas if we see a drop below this 7,200 zone. Now, again, if we see a drop below this, of course, we need to have our stop loss in place, a very tight stop loss, just in case this reverses back to the upside, and in a way it could do that and pushes higher again. So that's why we have this level here as a more comfortable level for us in order to examine further decline. So, but again, for now, it seems that the downside could be slightly off the table unless it's a little correction here to the downside. But even then, keep your eyes on the 200 EMA on the 4-hour chart. Brent oil, also something that I looked at this morning, and basically, what I was saying here is that given that we've managed to break above this key area of resistance near the 61.30 zone, the next potential area for us to keep an eye on is, of course, this the high of yesterday near the sorry, that was the 61.30. We've broken the 60.66 zone, so do apologize. That has moved a little bit, but and this is something that we've thrown out here on our JFD research page here. So Basically, we've thrown out this potential idea here. If we see a push above this 61.30, then it increases the chances of a further move higher. Initially, we will target only the 62.70 area marked by the high of the 27th of September, and then we could we'll take it from there. Basically, we'll see what he wants to do after. If he wants to do move further north, then yep, that's good news. But and this is what I wanted to show you. So this is the idea that we threw out before it started breaking to the upside here, breaking above the high of yesterday. And like I said, yeah, right now it seems that there could be a chance for this one to move further north. And in a way, if this suddenly reverses back down and drops below the 200 EMA here on the 4-hour chart, well, I mean, we will abandon the upside and we'll become probably more neutral, maybe neutral to bearish, something like that, and target the 58.2425 zone, which previously acted as a fantastic area of support here back on the 15th of October and also on the 21st of October as well. Again, if that gets broken, then, well, I mean, this could lead towards further declines. But for now, we're probably we're going to skip this idea for now, and we're going to focus more on the upside, and especially this barrier right now that is getting broken, the 61.30. If it continues to push above it, then, yep, like I said, we will aim for this 62.70 level. So let's keep an eye on this one. AUDUSD. Haven't looked at this one for quite a while. So overall, of course, continues to trade above this upside support line taken from the low of the 2nd of October, but after it met its resistance near the 0.6883 zone, it started drifting lower. It continues to do that. The only thing is that this move lower, for now, it will be classed as a temporary correction because we're still above this upside line. And let me just quickly adjust this chart a little bit. There we go. So basically, it continues to drift lower. It continues to trade below this little kind of tentative downside resistance line. We're going to keep an eye on it. It found some support recently, or should I say today, it found some support near the 0.6822, from which it's now rebounding. But again, as long as it's going to remain below this little short-term downside resistance line, we will continue targeting the downside, but only up until this the upside support line, this short-term tentative upside support line. So keep your eyes on this one. If this downside line suddenly breaks and we see the rate climbing above the 0.6858 zone, roughly around here, which is basically the today's high, then yep, we will aim for slightly higher levels here. We're going to aim for the highest point of this week, which is around the 0.6883, and then maybe even higher levels around the 0.69 zone. So let's keep an eye on this one. USDCAD now, quite an interesting one here. So basically, it's still struggling to kind of stay below this key area of support. Now I looked at this one yesterday as well, so we were hanging around not far from this downside line here taken from the high of the 9th of October. Today, this morning, the pair again flirted with this downside line and then sold off and pushed below the 1.3065 level. Now I talked about this area yesterday, this morning as well, and what I was saying that we need to see a clear break below that area before examining further declines. We did get it, but now, given and looking at the current price action here, to be honest, we would like to see a nice good close below this, and ideally probably a daily close below this level before we could examine lower areas like the 1.3036 or the 1.3010 zone here, which is the current low, which is the lowest point of July, and then we'll take it from there. But again, for now, you can see that the pair is yes, it did break it. This did break this 1.3065 level. can it push further south? Let's see, because at the moment, like I said, you can see that the bulls are really fighting it hard and really fighting it strong to kind of keep this pair afloat still. And for us to, let's say, consider the upside, and at this point in time, because previously I was looking at this level here, the 1.3123 zone. Yes, that level still remains for us an important one to watch, but probably for those who are more on the riskier side, what you could do here is keep an eye on the today's high. And let me just quickly put this one on the chart. So that's around here near the 1.3086 zone. So if we get a push above the 1.3086, then this would open the path. This could, in a way, open the path towards higher levels, because we would be above this downside resistance line, and then of course it would have to overcome the 21 EMA here. So that's why I'm saying that this is a bit for the riskier traders here. So that's why, guys, keep your eyes on this one, on this level here. But still, for us to get comfortable with let's say higher levels, ideally a push above the 1.3123 zone would be needed, and then we will aim for the 200 EMA on the 4-hour chart. So let's keep an eye on this one. Quick mentioning of USDJPY here. Now, this one, of course, on one hand, it continues to trade above its short-term tentative upside line taken from the low of the 4th of October. On the other hand, it's struggling to push above its 108.90 levels. So for now, we're going to be neutral, because it's a very tricky one here, because on one hand, it could drift lower here. It could move to the downside again. And initially, of course, we would need to see a break of this upside line. But for us to get comfortable with the downside, ideally we would like to see a drop below the 108.22, and only then aim for the downside. Until then, even if we see a push below this upside line, a break of this upside line, we, like I said, we'll remain neutral, and we will continue monitoring this level right here, the 108.22. A drop below it could, in a way, open the path towards lower levels, because this would confirm a forthcoming lower low. And this is where the 200 EMA could come in, and of course this level around here, around the 107.62 zone. So let's keep an eye on this one. In terms of the upside, a push above the 108.90. This is what we need in order to get comfortable with the upside, with higher levels, and only then we will aim for, like I said, we will aim for these slightly higher levels. We will aim for the 109.32 zone, or even going further north, maybe towards the psychological 110 zone. Could be an interesting level to watch, but for now we cannot really say much here. We're waiting for the next big move. GBPNZD, just a quick mentioning on this one. I talked about this potential falling wedge formation. You can see that the pair has managed to break through the upper side of it. It pushed higher, but is now kind of struggling to continue with the upside. And for now, basically, we're still the same game plan remains. We are looking for a further move higher, and this is the level for us to watch, the 2.0265. I talked about this one in my previous videos. Basically, even if we see a push above this upper side of the wedge, still a better confirmation of the further move higher would be this break above the 2.0265 zone. So that's why, guys, for now, keep your eyes on this one. Let's see how this is gonna play out, but again, it's very tricky. Again, this pair, as I've mentioned several times, the pound remains headline driven, and Brexit headline driven, of course, and that's why I'd be very careful with this one. But at this point in time, the technical picture, that's how it looks. So in order for us to aim for higher levels, we need to see a push above the 2.0265 in order to target slightly lower areas, a drop below this, and this is probably where I'm going to slightly adjust the level here. Previously I had this psychological 2 level. We will still keep an eye on it, but just to start looking and start considering lower areas, a drop below the 2.0040 area, somewhere around here. This is where we will start looking at lower levels, and then we could potentially aim for the 200 EMA, which could be around the 1.9780 283 zone by the time it approaches this area. So keep your eyes on this one. EURJPY. So it's quite an interesting pair. So of course, overall kind of is still climbing above this, or should I say, moving above this upside support line. A bit of a tentative one, but nevertheless, we'll keep an eye on it. So not this one, but this one right here, taken from the low of the 3rd of September. For now, guys, again, given the fact that it has distanced itself quite a lot from this upside line, there is a possibility maybe to see a drop lower. The only thing is that we will consider that drop lower if we see a move below this little area of support, the lowest point of yesterday near the 120.36. If we do see a drop below this, then yep, we will aim for these slightly lower areas, and our good potential area of support could be seen around here near the 119.05 level. And then we'll take it from there, because for now, of course, it seems to be a little bit maybe on the overbought side. The only thing is that still we may consider this as a temporary pause, maybe just a bit of ranging before a continuation move higher. So what I also want you to kind of keep an eye on is, of course, this key area of resistance. Let me just put this one on the chart. This is where the pair found good resistance today. So that's 121.38 zone, roughly around there. So also marked by the highs of the 25th of July and the 29th of July as well. So that's why this level here for us becomes a very important one to watch. And let me just quickly mark this one on our charts just for our future reference, guys. So this is where we're going to be keeping an eye on. If we get a nice push above this, this would confirm a forthcoming higher high, and or even better actually, if we get a nice daily close above this. Now this would be even better, because then, like I said, it would be a nice confirmation close above this territory. It would be a new higher high, and there could be more buyers joining in here and potentially driving this one to the upside further north. And we will then aim for the 122.32 zone. That's basically the high of the 10th of July, and it will be interesting to see where else or how far it could go higher before it could start correcting lower. For now, guys, that's the game plan for the upside. Don't rush into this because, again, it's at a very tricky spot, because on one hand, it's quite overbought maybe on the shorter time frame, so we could see a bit of correction, but we will consider lower levels if we see a drop below the 120.36 first, and then we'll keep it short and simple. We're not going to drag this one too much to the downside. Initially, we'll aim for the 119.82, 83 zone, or even, like I said, this 200 EMA could be a nice potential target. So for now, keep your eyes on these two levels. And the last pair for this session is going to be euro dollar. So this one is quite interesting. So initially, of course, it spiked higher. So we did get the ECB's interest rate decision. I mean, no surprises there. The same as expected, the same as previous. But the interesting fact here about the ECB today is today's last press conference for Mario Draghi. So as he's stepping down. So if you've managed to watch that one online, well, yeah, that's great. If you can always have a look at the rerun as well. So, but coming back to euro dollar, looking at this picture, you can see that the pair traveled higher initially, spiked higher. It tried to move above the 1.1163 level. It almost did that, but initially this morning I was talking about this level right here, the 1.1154. So what I was saying this morning, if we see a nice good push above it, there is a good chance we could see this one traveling further north here. You can see that the pair quickly traveled higher, tested the 1.1163, and then quickly sold off again, and now it's currently kind of balancing just slightly above its pivot. Again, we are considering still a move lower. We are still looking at maybe a possible test, a retest of this upside support line taken from the low of the 1st of October. Now, don't get me wrong, we might not do that, but for now, the way everything's shaping up, it seems that there could be a chance of a retest. But for us to get comfortable with that idea, a drop 11-10 zone would be required, or even better, a nice good close, at least of a 4-hour candle, and then yep, we will aim for this upside support line. We'll see how it performs around there. If it holds, wonderful for the bulls. We could see this one reversing back to the upside, but if it struggles to hold, a nice good drop below this and a drop below the 1.1063 zone could do the trick here for more sellers, and more of them could be joining in here and driving this one lower. But for now, guys, be very careful with this one. Again, it's balancing just still slightly above its pivot. We would need to see this one drifting a little bit further down in order to consider this scenario. But if this decides to reverse back to the upside and travels above the 1.1154 zone, this is where we will get a little bit more excited, or should I say the bulls will get a little bit more excited with the upside, and of course they will be aiming for the highest point of last week near the 1.1183. So keep your eyes on that one. If that gets broken, this would confirm a forthcoming higher high, and we could aim for the 1.1250 level that I've talked about previously. So, but again, for now, let's keep an eye on this one, and probably, as I'll say, will remain somewhat neutral on this one. So guys, I really hope you found it useful. Just a quick mentioning and a reminder that tomorrow and on Monday there won't be any videos. I will be off, and so yep, we'll resume on